Starting with Josh, Tressa, and Mike Jurecki.
Hey Larry, a lot of people have been making a big deal out of the play that when you grabbed the ball out of DeAndre's hands, ran it over to midfield, handed the ball to Cole, and he spotted it. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about where those instincts came from and kind of where you learned to think the game like that?
I was doing what I was supposed to do. We go over game management plays like that all the time, and Jeff Rogers keeps us abreast with all of those type of things. And I saw DeAndre with two guys on him, and I saw him fighting and struggling to get up, and it was just did what I had to do, to make sure we, have a chance to kick a field goal.
Hi, Larry. Good morning. Thank you for your time. Talking about you guys got a first taste of no fans just on Sunday, but having that in your home stadium, not having them there, how different will that really be during the game, not getting that usual interaction?
We went through it throughout the whole training camps. I think we had 20 something practices, at the stadium, and exactly the kind of atmosphere we'll be dealing with on Sunday. So I think that, we're acclimated with the sight lines and all the things that, we'll have to deal with on Sunday. It's not ideal not to have our, fans in the building, but, this is what we're dealing with now. And, we have to adjust. And, we got to go out there and play and execute and win and do what's required to win. And that's as simple as that. It's hopefully at some point throughout the course of the year we'll be able to have our faithful back in the building. But right now we got to just deal with it.
Larry, Patrick just mentioned 100 years for the NFL birthday. Obviously, you're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, I believe. But what has football meant to you and your family in this community?
Well, it's been a huge part of my life. I grew up watching it and idolizing the players that, played before me. And, it's been fabulous to be a part of the history of the game. To think 100 years, the greatest athletes in the world playing the greatest sport in America. It's great to know our game has been around that long, and hopefully another 100 years, we'll be able to, celebrate the 200th anniversary.
Next up, please, Catherine, Greg, Bob.
Larry, what's your family's plan for watching the game this weekend? And are they doing anything new and fun this year to make up for the fact of not being able to see us much in person?
I really haven't talked to my kids. I don't think they really cares. That gives them more time to go outside or hang out with their friends. They don't have to spend 5 or 6 hours going to the game. So they might not tell me that, but I bet you they're excited they don't have to go.
Hey Larry, good to see you, man.
See you too.
Thinking about there's two pieces and they're kind of disparate, so sorry about that. One is about fans in the stands. I'm curious how concerned or how comfortable would you be if the league is able to go that direction, if the Cardinals in particular are able to go that direction. We've seen Kansas City had fans, and I know there's been a lot of precautions in place. The second thing, it's completely different, but I was interested about mentoring and mentorship. You talked about it a couple of years ago, having team owners connect more with players to put the players in better positions after their playing days are over. I'd love to hear you address those two topics, please.
I would probably say I touched the second one, and I have you know, Michael Bidwell has been great for me. I can always bounce any questions that I have, about whatever. Yesterday and Tuesday were, my first board meetings that I had, in a publicly traded company last 2 days. And so even just getting ready for that, and I know he's, I asked him questions about, how to be prepared and things that I can do to help, make me better and better informed about, those type of things. And he helps me with that, if anything I do in terms of investments around town, hey, do you know this guy, or is this person trustworthy? He's helped me with that a bunch of times. And, there's been opportunities that he's, even tried to involve me in. And, the NFL says, no, we can't do that because that's a legal benefit. So, he's been like unbelievable for me, helping me just grow. Since I got here, I was 20 years old. I was a kid, when I got here, and You know, he's really helped me a lot along the way. And your first question, you know, I know Kansas City has some fans in the stadium. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm a health professional and know what's best. You know, I would love to be able to have fans in the stadium. You know, that's a big part of, you know, the home field advantage, and, you know, being able to reward the people that have been so loyal and dedicated to us since 1988 out here. We want to, you know, get them and perform and put on a good show for them. But we also want them to be healthy and happy and be able to go home to their families and, you know, not spread this virus any further. You know, I think everybody would love to be able to get back to the things that we were all accustomed to, and the faster, you know, we're able to get rid of this virus and take care of each other, the faster we'll be able to do that. And so I don't know what that looks like.
Thank you, man.
Larry, what would it take for Chandler Jones to get the sack record this year? I mean, what is he going to have to do in order to get that?
Well, as an offensive player, I mean, it'll help us a great deal, you know, by, you know, scoring a lot of points and getting a lead. You know, defensive players love, you know, games where teams are in obvious passing situation. That gives them a lot more opportunities to rush a passer as opposed to playing the run, right? And so you look at games last year against like the New York Giants when they got into desperation situations. You know, this is when those guys thrive. Those players, you know, they pin their ears back and play. I mean, you look what Washington did last week. You know, they were down 17, fought their way back to get a lead, and then they just unleashed those pass rushers, and those guys just got after it. You see, you know, what happens when teams get behind. I mean, the National Football League, you look around, and that's where the biggest advantage, I think, is just the specialized skilled pass rushers, and they just can wreak havoc on your team when you're in obvious passing situations.
We'll go to the next three. Josh, Howard, Cam Cox.
Hey, Larry, when it comes to Kyler, how have you seen, he's been described as humble. Have you seen that, and how so? And then how is he different leading you guys this year than he was a year ago?
He's done a good job of, you know, I mean, started this off season, you know, him getting guys together, you know, just sending random text messages, reaching out to his teammates, you know, sitting down, eating lunch. You know, he's just a lot more open. I think he's a lot more comfortable in his role, and I think that was, you know, validated when his teammates voted him as a captain. He's done a great job of, you know, just being a leader and letting his voice be heard. I'm really happy in the direction he's going, and you know, obviously his play on the football field warrants him wearing that C on his chest, but knowing that he's, you know, a guy in the locker room that can be, you know, diligent and accountable and have a voice, you know, even just goes even further for him.
Larry, the other day, Justin Pugh had some pretty amazing things to say about social justice. And one of them was that he felt Are you encouraged that more guys like Justin are speaking up, and not only that, listening to the experiences that a lot of you guys had in your lives?
Howard, I'm sorry, you cut off like halfway through what you're saying. I heard the last thing you said. Justin Pugh was talking about social justice. That's the last thing I heard you say before you cut off.
He also, one of the big things he said was that players like himself, white players, need to speak up more. And I'm curious if you're encouraged by him saying that, encouraged by more players like Justin speaking up, experiences that you guys have had.
I mean, I'm fine with anybody saying whatever they're comfortable saying, and I'm not one to do a lot of talking myself personally. You know, I think it's much more important to have actions, but you know, it's comforting to know your teammates are aware of what's going on in society. They care, and they have the courage to stand up and talk about the way they feel and the things that they see that can be done better collectively. So, I mean, that's encouraging. And if more guys would like to speak out on it, you know, I encourage them to do that.
Larry, speaking of like you talking, you wrote a letter to America asking them to get out and vote. Just why was that on your heart to do that?
Well, I mean, ever since I can remember as a child, you know, that was something that was extremely important for us. You know, my family, you know, came from the South. You know, my dad's family's from Natchez, Mississippi. My mom's family's from New Orleans, Louisiana. You know, my grandparents, great-grandparents always talked to me about the struggles and things that, you know, they went through, the adversity, the sacrifices they made to give, my generation, my cousins, an opportunity to do the things that they couldn't do. And a large part of that was getting out and exercising your right, the right that many, African Americans died for the privilege to do it. And I remember my grandfather in '83, helped, the first African American mayor in Chicago be elected, and how proud he was being able to do that and be a part of history. And so these are stories that we were talked to about a lot when we were kids, and so it was important for me to kind of put my thoughts on it.
We'll wrap it up with the final four: Jim, Catherine, Kevin, David.
Hey, Larry, I was wondering that block punt on Sunday, how critical was that given the timing of that? How sorely was it needed? And also, what do you know you're going to get when you face a defense that has Ron Rivera's fingerprints on it, so to speak?
Well, that was a huge play, for our team. It really swung the momentum. Our defense did a great job of getting a stop, and then when you can, really flip the field position like that and then build a score on the first play after that, really gave us confidence, gave the defense a boost, gave the offense a boost, obviously gave the special teams a boost. And, I think it really was that play that kind of just, swung it, it let you know, we're playing against a really good football team, and we got a great bounce, a play that was, could change the way the game comes out, and I was really happy. I was elated for our team to be able to get that done. I can't say enough good things about Coach Rivera. I've gotten to know him pretty well. Him and his wife Stephanie, over the last 10+ years. I remember he coached me and his staff during a Pro Bowl many years back, and I got to know him then. And the man he's an amazing human being. And you look at that tape from last week, and you can see that team has embodied, what he stands for as a human being. That team has had a lot of turmoil this offseason on many different, fronts, and from the name and the allegations. It's been a lot of different things, and their home opener to get down 17 points, and they could very easily could have said, it's just not our day today. We're playing against a really good football team in the Eagles, and it just might not be our day. Maybe we just should wait until next week. And you have a head coach who's not only coaching and fighting, but he's fighting for his life, battling cancer. So that it just puts it all in perspective why this team has the kind of heart they have. That man is amazing, and I have the utmost respect for him. And that defense is going to present a lot of challenges. Coach Del Rio has done a great job throughout his career, on the defensive side, and it's going to be a heck of a challenge to be able to beat this team. That front, they're young and opportunistic. They have a great leader up the front, in Kerrigan, and a young stud who's going to be a great player for years to come. And Chase, they got a lot of talent, and we're going to have to play our best game of the season to be able to come out victorious.
Larry, in a few questions today, you touched on social justice initiatives and your role in them. But when you look at the league as a whole, and especially having the perspective of being in the league for so long, what feels like the biggest difference this year as far as, if there's more players involved, if it's more specific, just given from like when you entered the league to now, what feels like has seen the most change?
Well, I just think, the players and their needs and their desires and the things that are important to them are being heard. And I think that's a great change, even from, 2016 and 17 when the tone was much different. The NFL has kind of changed their stance and, really empowered their players. And it's great to be a part of that and, to see, the shift. And I think that the league still wants to do more and continue to be an example of change. And, I'm very happy and excited to be a part of that.
Hey, Larry, I think Logan Thomas led Washington in targets last week. Just going back to, I don't know how well you still talk to him or how well you know him, but were you surprised that he's just made this interesting career turn and he's still doing well right now?
No, I'm not at all. Logan's a great athlete. He's one of those guys that you put a basketball in his hand, he can do it. You play him in ping pong, he's good at that. Put a pool stick in his hand. He's one of those guys that could just literally play any sport, do whatever. He's just gifted like that, and he's very intelligent. So you go from quarterback to playing any other position is actually much easier. And you know, he has great feet. You know, taking those drops and doing the things that quarterbacks do all those years, so he gets in and out of his breaks. You know, if he has to block, he's 6'6", 50 pounds. I mean, he's a massive man, and so it's not surprising that he's out there, you know, doing this thing. I'm happy for him, and anytime you see a former teammate having success, you know, you just got to tip your hat to him.
Hey, Larry, I was wondering, you were talking about Kyler building chemistry and, you know, talking to guys and having lunches and, you know, just socializing and everything. I was curious, when, you know, the young core is hanging out and you're with them, do you feel 16 years older than them? And does it, you know, and if you do, how does it manifest itself? You know, like, what are these guys talking about? Like the cultural reference points, or have you been surprised at how well you still relate to these guys, even if they're 15, 16 years younger?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm pretty like up on all the things that I need to be up on, and I know that, you know, for me to still, you know, be able to do what I do, you know, getting older, you have to be able to find a way to fit in. You know, it's no different than my friends and mentors off the football field. They're 60, 70, 80-year-old men that, you know, help me along in things that I'm interested outside of the game, and you know, I have to be able to find ways to relate to them, and it's no different than what I do in the locker room. And so, I mean, I love the guys. They're cool. You know, it's not so much, you know, me fitting in or they're fitting in with me. You know, we're a team. We accept each other for who we are. Come from different cities and different backgrounds, you know, different weight classes, but we're all looking for the same common goal, and that's to compete for a championship. So that commonality brings us all together, and that's the great thing that we have in the locker rooms.
Fitz, as always, thank you for your time, and thank you all for joining us.